Hi everyone, good afternoon, and this is Sony. Welcome back, guys, to this interview preparation strategies webinar. So, guys, today's webinar is the guest for today's webinar is Yashraj Kakkad. And before I call him on this stream, let me know that if I'm audible to you. So, by the time you will be commenting in the comment section and letting me know that I'm audible, and let me just give you a recap, okay, about how this webinar is. Depends on. So in this webinar, Yashraj will be, discussing about his experience, his interview experience, and his preparation strategies that he has adopted for the job opportunity, for the internship that he has backed for himself at Goldman Sachs. So guys, just waiting for your comments here, and let me know that if I'm audible. Drop in your comments, give a thumbs up so that we can start this webinar, and we can call Yashraj here. Okay, so just I'm looking at the comments, and I'm not able to find a comment which says that I'm audible. So waiting for your comments here. Okay, and come on, guys, just a thumbs up will work. Okay, so comment here. Okay, okay. Thank you, Kunj. Thank you, Sandeep. Okay, guys. So I think I'm audible, and thank you, Akshay. So let's just call Yashraj here without wasting any time. And hello, Yashraj.
Hi, Sony. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your experience. Okay, so Yashraj, we are live to the audience, and there are people who are watching us live, and there are people who are commenting in the comment section as well. So I think this is gonna be perfect. Okay, so let's start this webinar with a brief introduction of yourself. Okay, so tell us something about yourself.
Sure. I feel that introduction is generally the hardest question in any interview session, but let me try to sum it up. I just completed my 3 years at Ahmedabad University. I have mostly spent my time doing backend development, competitive programming. Like I did a lot of it, in particular in my second year. I'm also doing a research project at my university since the past 14 months or so, and like, it's about to get over. And the reason why I'm here and the reason why you all are here is that I'll be joining Goldman Sachs as a summer analyst, like just literally next week. So yeah, that's like roughly what I do and what I have been doing. So yeah, that's like sort of a brief about me.
Okay, that's a really short introduction, and that's really to the point. Okay, so sorry, Yashraj, let's just jump into the interview rounds. Okay, so describe the interview rounds and what preparation, what were what were your preparation strategies for each round. So let's just have a discussion.
Right. Yeah. So I'll try to sum up the details for everyone, and I would also recommend at the same time that once this is over, if you're really interested, you go and check out some of the previous questions to get a very good idea. So when you apply to Goldman Sachs off campus, there are going to be essentially three main parts to the whole process. That first, you are going to be given an aptitude test where you will be given some. I think it varies every year, but for us it's like 62 aptitude questions across different categories. Like some are numerical, some are purely logical. I forgot the names of the categories, but they'll test different levels of your aptitude. Like they'll test how good do you visualize, how are your analytical skills, how are your reasoning skills, and everything. And it will be like +5 -2. Like if you get a question correct, you get +5 points. Otherwise, it's -2. There's going to be a time crunch, and the questions are going to be hard. So you have to be strategic about what you're attempting and probably try to minimize what you get wrong, maybe. So I have seen that people who did close to 45 questions or something were comfortably able to make it, assuming that they did not do much negatives. So that's kind of what, like, that's a little bit like, and yeah, also there will be two subjective questions where you will be given some situation that you are working with your friend in a project and something happens. What do you do? Things like that, just to see how do you think in those processes. Maybe I think it's some sort of a cultural fit check for themselves. So yeah, do take them seriously as well. I think they also play a role in sort of getting ahead because as you see, like it's a very popular format and it's one of the most sought after opportunities even in the IITs. So a lot of people will apply for it. I think at my time, I'm not sure of the exact numbers and they don't disclose it, but I've heard it's around 1.5 lakh people who sit for the aptitude test. And from that, they have to cut it down to 1,500 people, roughly 1,500, 2,000 people for the next round. So the competition is huge and every question is going to matter. So you'll have to be very particular about what you're doing. I don't really think you can prepare for it, but yeah, you can like check out some previous material. Like Geeks4Geeks has some very good archive of questions, and I think a lot of them are inspired. Like if you search for Goldman Sachs particularly, you're going to get something like some questions which are very related to the ones you're going to see there. But if your basics are clear, it should be good. Once you do that, you are going to have a computer science round, which is next, and it will have I think 5 or 6 sections. One of them is medium lead code type questions. Uh, you'll get 2 of them, and you will have some like in this round. The a new thing is that every section is going to have its own time. So we'll have to give time to every section, and only that much time can be given to that section. So you'll have 2 questions to solve in I think around 30 minutes. You will have some quantitative aptitude questions, 7 or 8 of them. You will have computer science questions, like they'll be from object-oriented programming, DBMS, operating systems, and things like that. A combination of those concepts, uh, some data structures as well. In there, then you will have some uh, one hard coding question, like which will be harder than those two you, and you will get more time for this as well. Like in our case, it was on graph theory. Like it was a question on articulation points, and 2 subjective questions. Like this is roughly the structure. You get around 2 hours for these questions, and they also take your CGPA in the beginning. And there are like people say that they also value your CGPA, but they don't. Like there's nothing said about it. But I think it does matter because I saw some people who were interviewing with me. They had very very good scores. So that is one component, and these components. And based on your performance and their selection criteria, you will get a selection or a rejection. Like they don't disclose it, but there is some combination which they will look forward to. And it is possible that if you did exceptionally well in some of the sections, then you will get a call. Like I could not do the hard programming question, unfortunately. Like I just could not do it. Like I tried my best, but didn't happen. But still, I got a call because my performance in some of the sections was very good. Like I think I did really well in the computer science one. I also solved those medium questions, and everything else that I could. Like so, maybe some combination of that helps you to get in. Like you don't have to do everything, but you have to get some things right. And based on that, once you get an interview, it is like minimum 1 or maximum 3 rounds. If you're going to get selected, most likely you will have to give 2 rounds at least. And they will be like based on your resume, they will be based on data structures. They might be just a general discussion. Sometimes they often just throw puzzles at you as well. That's what I've seen from people. So it can be any combination of these, and you will have to be prepared with your resume. Like you should know what you have written, and it should be good. Like they do check your resume in multiple times. They ask questions, like they ask a lot of questions, and from what I believe, they look for all rounders. So they will want to see who are you apart from just your data structures and algorithms most of the times. So I think the rounds are tailored to you. Like that's what I feel. Like if you're a competitive programmer, like who has shown some hardcore skills, you will probably be asked some hard questions. If you have a well-rounded profile, you may get some questions from your projects as well. So you get a chance to sort of play the way you want to play. That's what I can say. That they'll let you sort of take advantage of your strengths in a way. Like that's what I felt from it. And so yeah, you can sort of like once you are in the interview, it's like a game of selection rather than rejection. Like it's you get a lot of chances. Like you can make some mistakes and get like I think I my first round wasn't that good, to be very honest. Like I was thrown questions at myself and I was a little bit nervous, and I didn't do really well in some of the questions they asked me. But I managed to solve all the coding questions which were there. Like they do the coding questions on HackerRank's CodePair platform. I could do all of them, but I was thrown some object-oriented questions. I was thrown at some databases questions, which were like somewhat unknown to me. Like I didn't know about NoSQL, for example, at that point of time. Like I had never used it before, so I had no idea. I just had to politely say, okay, I don't know. But you can sort of cover up at the places you are strong at as well. Like in like for example, in my I got a chance to go to interview 2, and there I could sort of talk about some some operating systems questions which I could directly answer. The data structures questions they gave me, I was able to answer like all except one of them. So that sort of covered it for me. And the third round was sort of simple. Like it's just more like a discussion. It's not even a round. So yeah, I think that's about the process.
That that was about the interview rounds, and you have given us a detail about how someone can focus about on the interview rounds and how can they do that. Okay, so okay, so this was about the interview rounds. Yashraj, let's just discuss something about your coding journey, like how it started and how did you done all these programming. Like you have mentioned that you are a competitive programmer, right?
Mhm.
So and you
Yes.
have done some free, yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't really come from a coding background before college. Like I knew that something called C and C++ exists, and I did some local course of 1 month after my 10th standard. So I don't really come from a background. I didn't even have a uh, proper computer education before I entered. So it's all after I entered my first year and I typically started learning how to program. And I think it was in my first year, first semester, second half or something, in October or something, where I got introduced to competitive programming by my seniors. Those people were like very nice to take us through the steps, like small children. Like they literally taught us everything about competitive programming. They took a 3-day workshop for us. They also got a faculty to sponsor prizes, and also like, it was an amazing experience. And that's where we got started. And after that it was just like give contest, make mistakes, repeat. uh, like if I get vacations, I would spend more time. Otherwise I would just try to like survive as much as I could and learn from everyone. And at the same time I roughly like explored Django, and I sort of fell in love with backend development. So that was the time I took that seriously as well. Yeah, so we get a lot of course projects in, like that's how my university works. So I try to make very good, like as good as I can, course projects. So from there I get a lot of experience. And when I was interviewing, all my projects in my CV were my course projects actually, and some of them like they seem to be happy about it. So yeah, that worked for me as well. So that's roughly what I have done when it comes to like competitive and development and stuff.
Okay, okay, so okay, so you are in your, I guess, third year of graduation,
Hmm.
as you have mentioned in your LinkedIn profile. So let's just discuss something about the projects. Like, okay, so what one should keep in mind about while doing the projects, and what and you have also done the projects in your graduation, right? So
Yeah.
what major points should be there while you are preparing for your projects, because there are questions that interviewer ask in the interviews.
Yes. So for an interviewer, a project is like the probably the closest they can get to see how you work on real life problems or how you work on large scale engineering problems. So uh, they probably won't have a lot of expectations when it comes to a fresher hire, but they will want to see the complexity, the level of the work involved there. And the problem which the students will have is that they won't even know, like the students, like including myself, we don't know that what is a person looking for, or what is a good project. Like what makes a complex project. Like for my first semester, 1,000 lines of C code was my project, but now I cannot just put it on my CV, right? Like so you have to evolve, and you will have to ask people. Like you'll have to ask your seniors, you'll have to do Google search, you'll have to see what other people are building if you want to build a good project. Like this is something where I went wrong at a lot of places, that I would try to be creative, no doubt. I would try to make an exceptional project, but I would often waste time on things which I should not have wasted time on. Like you don't have to dig the wrong rabbit hole when it comes to doing projects, because this is something you will need guidance, and you cannot really expect your faculties to give you guidance, like in-depth guidance. Like they can tell you about the subject, but most faculties won't be like super good programmers, so they cannot tell you the programming side of it. So you have to go out, you have to talk to your seniors, you have to plan things in advance. You have to maybe a good idea might be to see what other people are building and try to give an advancement to it. So uh, don't waste your times in wrong things. Like understand what you're trying to do, get a very good problem statement from a good source, uh, try to get some breadth knowledge. Like you should understand a bit about machine learning, maybe a bit about numeric computing, a bit about some technology, a bit about web development, so that you can combine these things to make good stuff for yourself. So that's where a bit of breadth helps you. And take feedback. Like once you have a project, show it to someone, like say how it is, like get some feedback, so that either you can improve this or you can get feedback for your next project. Like and try to sort of, like you might have built a machine learning project and you think that you have done a great job, But if you show it to your senior, he might tell you, okay, you have done it's nice, but maybe you can sort of try to deploy it now and just put it on a server, and that would be an additional step to your project, and that might add a lot of value. And things like that are going to help you. And maybe having a good partner also helps. Like I had a friend, for example, like almost every single project is with one of my friends there, and some projects with some other of my friends, so they help you a lot, and they can bring some perspective which you directly cannot have. So like just do that. Like it's a hard question, like it's a hard process, to be very honest. Like I've struggled a lot with this part, but I think that's the only way to go with it. Like you'll have to make some mistakes to get some things right.
Okay, okay. So can we just have some glimpse over your project, like the project that you have done? Okay, so some major points of your project.
Okay, sure. Last semester, I think I spent most of my time doing two projects. One was like as we were studying software engineering, we tried to build a large system, as large as we could, for a community listing like for listing and managing communities. Like the idea is very simple, but we wanted to do good on the tech part. So I was mostly involved with the backend, where I had to learn about what GraphQL is and build a GraphQL related service. And I was also in charge of helping my friends write unit tests. So that's where I learned about an alternative to REST. That is something new. So that gives me bonus points in my interview, that this guy cares to learn about new tech. We had a good team, so I learned a lot from them as well. We learned how to do proper tests. We learned how to write this like endpoints, and there was some like we also deployed it in the end. So we followed the complete cycle. So that's where I got to learn some new things. Like I had used Django, but I had never done these kind of things. And like we tried to make it large. So like there's quite some code there. And also use GitHub Actions for the first time, for example. So you learn such small things, and you can sort of sell them like in your interviews, that okay, I tried to do this, I tried to do this, I cared about this. That helps you. Another was it was a machine learning project, like where we were trying to use song metadata and like data from the Spotify API, basically, which was there available in a Kaggle dataset to predict the popularity of a song. So we tried our hand at a lot of algorithms, and we try to touch every aspect of a machine learning project. That how do you tune your hyperparameters, like how do you do feature engineering, how do you choose the algorithms. So things like that. Like we picked up an applied book, like an applied machine learning book. Like courses in your university will be theory based. So we picked up another book, we learned as much as we could, and we sort of like dug our holes. Like we just dug around, like made mistakes, learned from it, and tried to build as good as we could. So that's how it goes. Like last semester, like it was not a project. Like we were asked to do open source contributions to an actual operating system. So that's where like it was my first time doing open source, and like it was a major learning experience. Like I still want to go back and contribute there if possible. So yeah, that's how it goes. Like, and one of our projects, like it's not even listed on my profile, but we were playing with a network simulator for my networks project, where we took a topology and we were trying to study congestion control. So that's like you have to find a good statement, and you just have to sort of like get some breath, and then at the right places you have to go to the depth.
Okay. Okay, so that's really great, and that's a vast area of project that you have, just discussed. Okay, so let's just discuss something about the motivational part here, because you have so many things to do in your graduation, your projects, your internships, and a lot of things are there. So in between these times, how do you keep yourself motivated?
Mm, I just try to maybe put myself in a position of discomfort as much as possible, and I try to compete with very good people, like as much as possible. So when it comes to competitive programming, I will try to talk to some good people. I try to learn from them. I'll team up with them, and I'll put myself in a position of discomfort, so that I feel that okay, I have to learn more to catch up with this guy. Like that's a bad, like ideologically it sounds bad that you are creating a sense of competition, but like this has helped me create some discomfort in like I should feel that I don't know this, then I will wake up in the morning and go and study it. Like it has to come from there, and I think it also has to come from interest. That because I'm excited to learn about say machine learning, I will wake up in the morning, go the extra mile, like read a book a professor did not even tell me to read, think about algorithms, try to make it deeper, or try to sort of go beyond what is expected from myself. So that's when it happens, and you also need good people around you. Like I think that matters a lot. So a combination of this and a bit of luck maybe, and you sort of like you luck happens where you should have the level of self confidence, and you should already be doing like you should already perform well if you want to have that kind of a confidence in yourself that I can sort of do more. So if I for example, like when I talked about the story, right, about that my seniors took a session, and that was the first time we saw competitive programming. The last year they did a contest once, and I managed to win the contest by a good margin. So that gave me a lot of free self confidence that okay, this is something I'm good at, and maybe I can do more of that. So that creates a loop, and that feel good वाली जो feeling होती है, that wants to make you do more. And I'm sure everyone must have experienced, not just in computer science but even in anything abstract. Like if you're good at cooking, for example, then making something good makes you feel good, and that brings your interest. So that helps a lot.
That's a fact that you have to be, surrounded by people who are ambitious, and then you can always, keep yourself motivated to achieve something bigger. Okay, okay. So these are the questions from our side, and let's just, jump into the comment section, and let's take questions from the comment section. Okay, and let's see how many
Sure.
questions do you have. Okay, I'm taking this question from Praram. Jenny. Jenny. Okay, so is his question is the coding round pen paper based or a compiler based?
No, as it was okay. So if it's when I talk about the virtual interview, will be connected on a Zoom call, and there is a platform by HackerRank called CodePair, and there are other platforms available from HackerEarth, etc. You can just check one of them out, and they give you a free trial. So you and the interviewer can communicate there. Like he can give you a question, he can discuss it with you. He'll see as you're coding live on his system, and then he can give you feedback once the question is over. So that's what happens in the round. When we talk about the second round, the computer science round, there it's like a typical contest. Like you have a question, you have constraints, you answer, get points, baat khatam. So hope that answers. Like we didn't have a pen paper round. It's not possible because it was not an in-person interview because of the situation.
Okay. Okay, so Pranam, I think your question has been answered here. Yashraj, let's take question from the Kunj. His question is which site is best for competitive programming and which topics are important?
Uh, when you talk about practicing, I think nothing matches code forces because of the number of contests, the sheer quality, and the ruthless competition. People somehow also prefer Code Chef because of the long challenge, which is something I don't really advocate, but people like that for that reason. But like for me, it's Code Forces any day. And if you talk about the topics, you should be familiar with math related topics like theory of prime numbers and other concepts related to number theory, and maybe you should know basics of at least the basics of graphs and dynamic programming. So if you see a variation of a standard question, you should directly be able to do. Otherwise it might be slightly embarrassing that the interviewer will expect that you at least know those fundamental ideas. Some standard algorithms like binary search, some familiarity with the language you are using. Like if you're using C++, you should know the standard template library very well. uh, Array strings, like manipulating these should be very natural for you. uh, I think I have mostly covered everything. Yeah, some standard techniques like two-pointer technique, for example, you should know some standard uses of that. I think yeah, that like doing a bit of this is more than enough to even make you reach 5 stars and expert. Like, I don't really know advanced. Like I suppose I know segmentary, but I have never used it in a live contest ever. Like if I get a hard segmentary question, I today would not be able to do it. But you don't need it at this point. Like that's when you want to scale above. Like you want to be a 6 star coder, or you want to be a candidate master on code forces. That's when you need those advanced things. The rest it should be fine.
Okay. Okay, so that's really great. Okay, so Yashraj, I'm taking a question from Abhay, and he has two questions. First question, I'm not just reflecting on the screen, but its question is that was it a off-campus or an on-campus opportunity? Okay, and as far as I know, that it was an off-campus opportunity for you, right?
It's of
So
course, yeah.
I'm taking the second question from Abhay, and his question is like he's in third year recently. So he has just entered in the third year. So what things should he focus on right now, like in any uh, in any aspect? Maybe it could be the competitive programming, it could be participating in the coding contest or something like that. So and the projects also. So some your points here, your views on this question.
Right. I think as far as your interviews are concerned, you should be familiar with data sessions and algorithms, at least the bare basics. Like if you get a standard data structure like linked list or trees or graphs or something like that, you should be fairly comfortable with using them. Like you should have basics, at least the basics cleared. I would also say that if not for interviews, but for yourself, study the core subjects at least. Like you will probably get operating systems and computer networks in your third year, and even some foundational subjects which are like centered to computer science. Don't miss them. Like please do them well, if not directly, but they will indirectly help you. Um, Apart from that, I think it's good to have some interest in some area. Maybe it can be web, it can be android, it can be machine learning. I think it's good to have some knowledge at some point, so that even if you cannot crack MNCs, you can reach out to a startup saying that, hey, I know Node.js, like, and you are working on Node.js, and I see that you are looking for interns. Then like I would like to hop in. Probably they won't care about whether or not you know how to reverse a linked list or invert a binary tree, or do you know what unbounded knapsack is. They'll see your Node.js projects, and that's how it works for them. And it also depends on your college. Like if you think your college has amazing placements, it might be good to take a shot and just focus on DSA. Otherwise, I would say keep your options open. Like focus on something that is also marketable at the same time. And if you don't get MNCs, like there are not a lot of companies which offer internships. Like unfortunately, that's how it is. So you'll have to keep your options open, and not just like, you don't just have to be smart, you also have to be a bit of lucky to even make it to an MNC, because that's how the process is. Like how do you expect how can they get 250 people from 1 lakh people, like 1.5 lakh people? It's just, there will be some role of randomness obviously, and you cannot blame anyone. Like it's just a large number to deal with.
That's a really fact. That's a fact. Okay, so Yashraj, I am just merging two questions here from the comment section, because we cannot take two questions at the same time. But
Right, right.
it's like how much importance certification plays and how much role internship plays in in placements.
Probably, like to the best of my knowledge, certificates won't help you. The recruiter probably won't care. Like if it's a good company, he definitely won't care about your certificates. Uh, they don't even mostly care about your CGPA, unfortunately. So I don't think certificates stand any chance. But yeah, they might want to talk about the learnings from that. Like they might say that, hey, you've taken a course on data science, so show me a project or show me something you built, and that can be a good topic of discussion. But they won't really ask you about the number of certificates you have. And I'm sorry, your other part was
About the
internships.
internship.
Uh, so when you go for an internship at an MNC, it may or may not matter. Like I think Goldman Sachs did consider, like they didn't see our previous internships at all. They just skipped that section. They talked about the projects, and it's fine, because most second year internships are not that good either. Like unless you got into some second year program of an MNC or a very good startup, it's mostly not amazing. Like you have done some small development work. But if you're sitting for placements, I think it will matter. Like I've seen my seniors being asked questions related to their previous internships, and also your internship may convert to a PPO. So that's also one very good reason to take internship seriously, and the connections you build, obviously. Like especially that works like magic in startups. Like you know someone, that someone knows someone else, and you land up with a good offer in your hand, and you सुबह नहीं था शाम को अचानक offer आ गया. That's very common. So yeah, that's very powerful.
Okay, okay, okay. So I'm taking this last question from Aman, and I'm so sorry, guys. We cannot take all the questions. I'm taking this question from Aman because there are a lot of questions that we are, getting from the audience about the projects, right? So some good project ideas for final year student, or it can be, for anyone who is in first year, second year, or in third year, even if it is for final. So some good project ideas.
I might not be able to answer this question very nicely, because final year projects are like 6 month, 8 month, 10 month projects, and they will require a different level of depth and planning to proceed with. But but like this is what I do when I do my projects. Like you don't Google search directly project ideas. That doesn't help you. You sort of, maybe once you have your niche decided, you can look at some recent work there. Like if you're doing machine learning and you have some background knowledge already, then maybe you can sit at the edge of what you know. Like you say you want to indulge into natural language processing, then maybe you can do some literature review on what the state of the art work is at this point. Like what are the new models, and maybe get some breadth understanding, and then sort of go down, like as I said previously, to find something good. Like there is no fixed answer to this, unfortunately. If it was, then life would have been very easy.
Right. Okay. Okay, so these are the questions that I think are enough. And guys, if your question has not been answered here, then you can always connect with Yashraj on LinkedIn, and we have given Yashraj LinkedIn profile in the description. So you can go through the description and get connected with the Yashraj. And I can see there are a question. But we cannot show someone's resume or CV on live broadcast. I'm so sorry, Chamula or Varun. So we cannot show a CV of a person or a resume because maybe the
It's there
other
on my
person.
LinkedIn if you want to see, by the way.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. If it's on LinkedIn, then it's perfect. You can go and check out the LinkedIn profile of Yashwant. There is his resume is there, and guys who have okay. So major question we had from the project section. So I think people should do some brainstorming for your projects, and then you can have some idea about what projects you should consider doing in your graduation. And yes, machine learning is important in industry. This question is from Yashrana, so I think this I have answered. Okay, so Yashraj, thank you so much for coming and sharing your experience with us and for the audience, and answering the question that we could. Okay, and is there any advice you would like to give the audience? Okay, and any bites you would like to to say to the audience?
um Not old enough to give advice, but yeah, just enjoy the process. Maybe like it's amazing when like if you look at the same profile, if you see SD intern at Google or SD intern at Microsoft, you suddenly have the bias that okay, yeah, he did this, he did this, he did this. Suppose he failed that interview, it's the same profile, but he doesn't have the tag. Then you say, "Ha, ye to yehi kiya hai." So that's how it is. Like that's how people are. So don't worry a lot about the results. Maybe especially if you're not from a very popular college and you have problem with your placements. So yeah, it might be possible that you don't get the kind of results you want. Like you cannot just get to wherever you want directly, like right after graduation. It's possible, but just maybe focus on your skills. Like that's what I would say. Like, just enjoy the process, and I think things have this habit of magically working out if you put enough time and effort to it. Like lady luck favors the one who tries. That's what I feel, and that's what I've experienced every time. So yeah, give your best.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you. Okay, guys, so this was it for today. And people who are still commenting about the someone is commenting about the Python. So I think you should be specialized. You should have expertise in a particular in one language at least. So I think this will be good for you, Aryaman. Okay, and thank you so much for being such a good audience again, and commenting in the comment section and asking questions. And you can always connect with Yashraj on his LinkedIn profile. Also, we have two things for you. First one is that we have now a GFG app. Okay, and you can study from the GFG app and explore the new features of our app. Also, if you guys want to be part of these interview preparation strategies webinar, then you can also participate by clicking in the Google form that we have given in the description. So go through the description. There are a lot of things for you. And I saw a comment. I saw the comment here. One person has commented about a person who has cracked Google. So if he is interested, then only we can actually invite person. Okay, so if he's interested, then he has to fill the Google form. We will connect with him, and we can surely invite him on our webinars. So thank you so much, guys, and please go through the description and stay practicing and stay healthy. Thank you so much, and stay positive, stay corona negative, not positive. Thank you so much.